The storm hit the city before sunrise, tearing through the streets with a cold, relentless fury, and it was in that gray, rain-streaked morning that single-father Ethan Hale noticed the woman sitting alone in the corner booth of the tiny diner, shivering, drenched, and clutching her empty hands as though she had forgotten what warmth felt like. Something about her made the whole world pause inside him. Her clothes were soaked through, her lips trembled with exhaustion, and her eyes, red, haunted, and full of something deeper than hunger, kept staring at the untouched glass of water the waitress had left in front of her. Ethan didn't know her name, didn't know her story, but something inside him whispered that this wasn't just a stranger having a bad day. This was someone breaking silently in plain sight. If you believe moments of kindness can change a life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support keeps these true heart stories alive and reaching those who need them. Ethan had been running late that morning, juggling his construction job, his backpack-wearing 7-year-old waiting for school drop-off, and the never-ending responsibilities of life as a single dad. He had planned on eating his usual quick breakfast, egg sandwich, coffee, nothing fancy, before heading out. But as he glanced between his warm plate and the trembling stranger at the next booth, awareness struck him with a force that felt almost spiritual. She didn't ask for food. She didn't even lift her head. She sat like someone trying not to collapse. And Ethan, who knew the quiet language of struggle better than most, felt his chest tighten. He carried his plate to her table, sat gently across from her, and slid the food toward her. Her fingers shook as she pulled the sandwich closer, but when she whispered a barely audible, "Thank you," Ethan noticed tears clinging to the edges of her lashes like they, too, were barely holding on. He didn't try to talk to her. Not at first. He simply watched her regain small pieces of life as she ate, slowly, carefully, as if each bite was a reminder she didn't quite believe she deserved. When she finally looked up, Ethan saw something unexpected: regret. Not the kind people carry after small mistakes, this was larger, deeper, like the kind that comes from losing everything. The rain outside hammered the windows, the diner lights flickered, and for a moment the world shrank to just the two of them, a worn-out stranger and a man who understood heartbreak too well. She tried to stand, but her knees shook, and Ethan, fearing she might faint, steadied her with gentle hands. When she stepped away from the booth, her eyes held something close to apology, then she hurried out into the storm without another word, vanishing as quickly as she had appeared. The next morning, Ethan returned to the diner, half hoping she'd be there, but her booth remained painfully empty. Days passed. Then a week. Life moved on in its familiar rhythm: work, parenting, exhaustion, but something inside him felt unsettled, as if he had glimpsed a chapter of someone's life he was never meant to read, and now it haunted him. He had helped people before, he volunteered, donated when he could, but something about her stuck in his chest like an unfinished sentence. The waitress told him she had seen the woman before, always alone, always quiet, always carrying an old camera as if it were the last piece of her identity. But no one knew her name. 2 weeks later, Ethan finished a long shift and returned home to find an unfamiliar black car parked outside his small apartment building. 2 sharply dressed individuals stepped out, one man, one woman, carrying briefcases that clearly didn't belong to his world of manual labor and hurried school mornings. When they approached him, they greeted him formally, asked if he was Ethan Hale, and then revealed words that made his pulse stop: "We represent someone you helped at a diner." He didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't understand. Then they told him her name, Claire. A name he had never learned, yet somehow fit her fragile, rain-soaked silhouette. They explained that Claire Lewis was a renowned travel photographer who had disappeared from public life months earlier. A woman whose last published work had captured storms, deserts, mountains, yet somewhere along the way, life had dealt her a blow so heavy she walked away from everything. They told him she had been grieving the loss of her partner, who died during an overseas assignment. She had fallen into depression, drifted from city to city, living out of cheap motels while shutting the world out. No one knew where she had gone. Not even her legal team, who had been desperately searching for her. Ethan listened in stunned silence as they revealed the rest: Claire had resurfaced. And the first thing she did was tell her lawyers about a man, the single dad with kind eyes, who gave her his breakfast when she had nothing left but hopelessness. Then came the part Ethan never expected. Claire had instructed her lawyers to find him. Not for thanks, but for something much heavier. Claire had decided to donate the proceeds of her unreleased final photography collection to someone who made her believe the world still held good people. She had chosen him, not because he was extraordinary, but because he had been human when she had felt invisible. The lawyers handed him an envelope. Inside was a letter written in soft, uneven handwriting. Claire explained how she had walked out of the diner because she couldn't bear letting anyone see how broken she was. She wrote about the storm that day, not the one outside, but the one inside her mind. And she wrote that his simple act of kindness reminded her she still belonged somewhere on this earth. She told him she was in recovery, receiving help, rebuilding her life piece by piece. Ethan felt tears slip down as he read her final line, "You fed me that morning, but what you really gave me was a reason not to disappear." The lawyers weren't there to give Ethan money. Claire had donated most of it anonymously to mental health organizations in her partner's memory. Instead, they handed him something more personal, a framed print from Claire's final unreleased collection. A photograph of the same stormy morning he had met her, taken from outside the diner, rain on the glass, a silhouette in a booth, hope flickering between strangers. Attached to the frame was a handwritten message, "Captured the moment before kindness changed my life." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps spread more real, soul-lifting stories across the world. Before we end, comment below, kindness matters. Let the world feel your voice.